Brilliant to be able to welcome you to this, our 2025 Kent Men's Convention. It's a thrill to be here once again and to come to be able to worship our God, which we've already been able to do, but also to be able to listen to His word and on our subject this year of suffering. Just a few bits of housekeeping notices, just in case someone did say to me coming in where there was going to be a lot of hot air today, but I think that was the comment because it was cold air outside rather than anything controversial going on today. But just in case there's greater hot air in the way of a fire, then there are the fire exits either coming through where you've come through or the door there, and do my air stewarding impression here, or through the door to my right, your left. So do make your way for that. For coffees, we do have the coffee station up here, but the main one is downstairs. So if I can encourage you mainly to go down the stairs, you can use the staircase there, or the staircase here again to your left. That would be really helpful. And there's the coffee lounge downstairs as well, so do feel you don't have to rush back up here. Do sit down there as well. We're also very glad to have 10 of those with us again this year, and they are also downstairs, so another excuse to take your time getting your coffee downstairs and enjoying looking at some good books. We will have a little promo from 10 of those in our morning session. And just by way of questions, so we're having a short time of Q&A after each message. So in your programs, hopefully everyone's got a program, but on page 4, where you've got space to write up notes, you'll see very helpfully a little message down there in the bottom right-hand corner, which actually is giving the number for you to text in your questions to us. So that would be really handy. Again, depending on the number of questions we get, we can't guarantee that we're going to ask them and get them answered. Just in the vogue of the current scenario, no questions about President Trump and suffering will be entertained, but okay, it's really great. But our great thrill today is to be able to have Paul Mallard with us as our speaker. So Paul, will you come up here please? And so lovely, Paul, to have you with us. And yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to know the Lord.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't brought up in a Christian home. My parents were wonderful people, but not Christians, and we're in Birmingham. You'll soon pick up I got a Brummie accent. I'm born and brought up in Brum. We moved when I was about 6 to a road where there was a tiny little FIC church, and every summer they had a children's holiday club. They went round the streets with a big banner, and on the banner it said CAJU, which stood for Come and Join Us. And all the kids came out of their houses, they played a guitar, all the kids went round the block and round over the park and back to the church. You know, child protection, forget it. And that's where I heard the gospel for the first time. And as a teenager I joined, well, younger than a teenager, I joined something called the Boy Covenanters, and at the age of 11 I was converted at camp. So that's my story.
That's fantastic. And how long have you been in ministry?
Well, I'm kind of semi-retired at the moment, which means that I only do 5.5 days rather than 6 a week. But I was in ministry for 40 years, exactly 40 years in 3 different places, down in the West Country, in Chippenham, and then in Worcester, and then finally in the city of Bath. So that was my ministry for all that time, mainly as a pastor and teacher in a local church.
Brilliant. And question of suffering, people that know you know that you've written some very helpful books into this area, but give us a little bit of your personal context by talking about your wife.
Yeah, I mean, my wife was when I was in the boy coveys, she was in the girl coveys. So we were actually at junior school together. I've known her all my life, loved her for over 50 years and been married to her for 47 years. And the first few years of our ministry, first 10 years, I guess, we would say, isn't the Lord good to us? We'd gone through all sorts of things. She'd lost her mum, I'd lost my dad, she'd lost her sister, she had 3 miscarriages, tough things, but actually we said, isn't the Lord good? Isn't he wonderful? And then she became ill while she was pregnant with our 4th child, and long story short, he was diagnosed as MS, multiple sclerosis, and she's actually been in a wheelchair now for almost 33 years. One of the things about MS that people don't realise is that it's very debilitating and it's painful. It sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not. For the last 10 years and more, we've not had a single night when she hasn't woken with pain. A good night is 1 attack. This morning I left home about 5 o'clock, took her a cup of tea. I said, what kind of night? She said, it was a good night last night, just 1 attack. Some nights it's 3, 4 attacks. And I'll wake up and she won't be in bed, she'll be lying on the floor or whatever. So that's an ongoing thing that we've had to face. And then all sorts of other things. Something actually worse than that, you think, well, what could be worse than that? We had a little grandson who's been diagnosed with a very rare condition, brain condition, which means that he never developed in the womb. So he's a beautiful, beautiful little Welsh boy. He's now 7 years old, but he has no brain functions at all. Has to be fed, has to be cared for. He'll never talk, never walk, never do anything, and has such violent epileptic fits that he actually breaks his own bones. And as far as we're concerned, that's been much harder for us to deal with. So right at the beginning of our life together, right at the end here, well, I don't think we're quite at the end, hope not, dealing with those things, and then lots of things in between. So that's the context in which I've thought quite a bit about the theology of suffering.
Paul, thank you very much. Well, it is a joy, and those of us that know or read Paul's books know he's got such a pastoral heart, and yes, more than gifted, and we are privileged to have him with us today, so thank you, Paul. Well, I'm going to read and then going to pray for Paul, so if you've got your Bibles there, maybe coming up behind me, I'm not sure, but it's Psalm 56. Psalm 56.